Good evening and welcome. Is this Hindutva by stealth? External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj has kicked up a hornet's nest by asking for the Bhagavad Gita to be recognized as India's national scripture. NDA allies in the opposition are up in arms against the External Affairs Minister, alleging that this is another saffron push from a senior government minister and that the only national book in India is its constitution.
मैंने संसद में खड़े होकर कहा था कि श्रीमद् भगवद गीता को राष्ट्रीय ग्रंथ घोषित किया जाना चाहिए। अभी उसकी औपचारिक घोषणा तो सरकार आने के बाद नहीं हुई, लेकिन स्वामी जी महाराज मुझे बताते हुए खुशी है कि अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति बराक ओबामा के हाथ में प्रधानमंत्री ने अपनी ओर से श्रीमद् भगवद गीता भेज करके इसको राष्ट्रीय ग्रंथ जैसा सम्मान तो पहले ही दे दिया।
Sushma Swaraj wants the Bhagavad Gita to be declared a national scripture. The demand has a massive political storm raging over it, with the opposition saying that the constitution is the only national book of secular India.
जब एक नेशनल होली बुक के बारे में बोलें, कैसे बोल सकते हैं जब विभिन्न तरह के धर्म हमारे देश में प्रैक्टिस हो जाता है। तो ऐसी चीजें सरकार बताना बोलना ठीक नहीं है।
यानी गीता जो है वो इनके पहले से भी चल रही है और गीता को कोई किसी के सहारे की जरूरत नहीं है। फिर गुरु ग्रंथ साहब क्यों नहीं होना चाहिए? फिर आपकी जो है कुरान क्यों नहीं होना चाहिए? ये हाजी खड़े खड़े इसी तरह के बात करते रहते हैं।
बाकी धर्म को मानने वाले लोग हैं, फिर तो वो लोग भी आवाज उठाएंगे कि उनका जो ग्रंथ है वो भी राष्ट्रीय घोषित होना चाहिए। मैं समझती हूँ कि इस किस्म का बयान उनको नहीं देना चाहिए था।
An attempt to push the saffron agenda or an unconstitutional demand. The holy political war over the Bhagavad Gita shows no signs of abating for now. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Is this Hindutva by stealth? Joining us on the center stage, face-off Kakoli from the Trinamool. Also with us at this time is Sambit Patra, national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. I want to go across first and foremost to Kakoli. Ma'am, the Trinamool is objecting, saying that this is an attempt to introduce Hindutva by stealth. The BJP, for its part, and especially Sushma Swaraj, suggests that this is something far bigger. It's a 5,000-year-old book. It goes beyond Hinduism, and therefore the Bhagavad Gita, in all real senses, is India's only national text. How do you respond, ma'am?
The very fabric of our constitution states that we are a secular country, and every detail as how we should conduct our nation is given in the constitution. So for a democracy like ours, the largest one, we should follow the constitution, and nothing else can replace it as far as our social, political behavior is concerned. And we strongly object because we as a party, Trinamool Congress, and our leader Mamata Banerjee, we are secular, we believe in all religions, we respect all religions, and the Quran, Puran, Ved, Vedanta, Bible, Tripitak, the Zen, the Vesta, Guru Granth Sahib, Gita, all are equal to us. So we do not want saffronization of our country through the having a book like Gita or having Sanskrit as a language in place of another foreign one. This is definitely one step closer towards the RSS agenda, we believe.
Okay, let me put that question then to Sambit Patra, because there's been a very strong backlash from parties like the Congress and the Trinamool. They're saying that this is an attempt to push the RSS agenda again. Once, in the first instance, you were pushing for Sanskrit to be made compulsory. Now this rather innocuous statement coming from one of the senior most ministers, where she very nonchalantly suggests that the Bhagavad Gita should be made India's national text. The only national text, Sambit, that India recognizes is its constitution.
Rahul, you have to realize one thing, that the Bhagavad Gita in fact has been written 5,151 years ago, and in a function commemorating this, Mrs. Sushma Swaraj was speaking, and in this context she said that Bhagavad Gita has to be respected and has to be made the national book. We have to remember one thing that has nothing to do with Hinduism, in the sense that the word Hinduism itself had no meaning whatsoever when Bhagavad Gita was written. Back then there was nothing called as Hinduism. In fact, I would say, if you would ask me personally, Bhagavad Gita is the book of the civilization that this land has given birth to. The land which was called as something else back then, it was not called as India then. It is the land of, it is a book of civilization, and as a result of which I believe, even if we treasure it as one of the most important treasures of the country, the boogie of secularism should not be played over here. So my sincere advice to my friend Ms. Kakoli also, and to other political parties would be, for God's sake, let us play the boogie of secularism in the mundane world, but in the spiritual world, let's stop playing such kind of boogies, because there is nothing called as secular or communal. There is only oneness which exists, and in Bhagavad Gita it is only about oneness. It is about humanity, which existed way back when probably Congress, BJP, TMC and all these kind of things never was discussed.
You know, there are also the Veds, there are the Purans. Why only pick the Bhagavad Gita? There are so many other sacred texts of the Hindu religion itself. Why just pick the Bhagavad Gita? And this, Sambit, at a time when the Prime Minister himself has gone on record to say that the only holy book he recognizes is the Constitution. In that sense, the External Affairs Minister and the Prime Minister are at variance in what they say.
There are two things that we have to understand over here. Yes, the Prime Minister of the country, Mr. Narendra Modi, has rightly said that the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible of this country in the present era is the constitution of the country, which we all have to abide by. There is no contesting this absolute truth. But we have to remember that there are two tangents to discussion. One is a mundane world and the other is a spiritual world. In the mundane world of India, it's but natural that Constitution of India is a sacrosanct book. But in the spiritual world, where we do not have words like secularism or communalism, it is definitely Bhagavad Gita which has been showing the light to the world. Way beyond our thought process goes too. I mean, just imagine 5,000 years ago, this piece of book was created, this piece of philosophy was created by this land. So naturally, when Mr. Narendra Modi gifts this book to Barack Obama or to his Japani counterpart, it's the message that this civilization, the civilization called as India today, represents a lot. When you were not born, we were so advanced that we had solutions ready for all kind of distress in world.
Kakoli Ghosh Dastidar, do you agree with Sambit Patra's suggestion that this is beyond religion? This comes at a time when most religions hadn't even been born. This is beyond countries. This is at a spiritual level where the Bhagavad Gita shows the way for a majority of Indians, and therefore in all senses is India's national scripture. And what Sushma Swaraj is asking for is for the Bhagavad Gita to be given that status officially.
No, I don't agree, because each of us might have their own religion. I am a very spiritual person myself, but the parliament or the constitution or for the election machinery or for politics and spiritualism, these are two different things. I mean, my learned friend there is mixing up things, and we cannot force our thought, our belief, our religion on the other people residing in the country or the world. I might tell them that yes, I am older than you, but there is no proof that there was in some corner of the earth someone else existing and preaching something else. So spiritualism should not be mixed up with religions present and past, and these two
Sambit Patra, the moment you pick the Bhagavad Gita over the Quran, over the Bible, over the Guru Granth Sahib, you almost suggest to others that the Bhagavad Gita is in some way first amongst all these religious books. Why should the Bhagavad Gita come first ahead of the other religious texts? If somebody believes in the Bhagavad Gita, by all means they have the right to do so. Why try and impose this majoritarian view on the minorities?
The first and foremost, you're absolutely right in saying that we all have our own entitlement to follow any dictum, any way of reaching the ultimate in our lives, and that should be respected. We respect every piece of literature which guides us towards truth, be it the Quran, be it the Bible, be it the Guru Granth Sahib, and we have no right to say that anything else precedes it or is more important than it. But as far as time is concerned, well, yes, I mean, this is something historic and no one can contest it, that Bhagavad Gita came before anyone else, not that it was Hindu. It would be absolutely wrong on my part to say it was Hindu and it preceded everyone else. Hindu word was a term which was coined quite recently, but Bhagavad Gita as the culture of this piece of land, I am saying, and after all, in the geopolitical scenario, it is piece of land which we call as Rashtra, as we country, as a state. We have federalism, we have the constitution, because they all stand as a guard to a piece of land. And way back when most of the lands had no guiding notebooks, it was Bhagavad Gita which existed
no,
then.
So Sambit Patra, what does the BJP intend to do? Because what we are seeing, Ashok Singhal of the VHP demand is that he wants a bill to be brought for the Bhagavad Gita to be declared a national scripture after what Sushma Swaraj has said. Is that what the BJP government intends to do?
Let me assure you that BJP does not want any confrontation on any of the issue, religious especially, and especially on an issue like Bhagavad Gita, which teaches that we all should stand in harmony, that we should fight against
Why
adharma.
Then does your minister make this suggestion, Sambit?
No, minister is entitled to make suggestion. The parliament will take on to the suggestion and will decide on the suggestion. That is what democracy is all about. But the minister is not wrong in stating that Bhagavad Gita is one of the most guiding principles of the country, because
are you reassured by the Prime Minister's statement? The Prime Minister has come on record previously and said the only book he recognizes is the Constitution. That's India's national text. Do you think that Sushma Swaraj's comments need to be given credence, or after what the Prime Minister has said, all of this needn't be taken seriously, despite Ashok Singhal's demand that there be a bill which makes the Bhagavad Gita India's national scripture?
This is a very serious issue, and definitely the Honorable Prime Minister's statement is reassuring, but being followed by senior minister's statement, and not only once, different senior honorable ministers of this government are saying things which are putting us to shame all over the world. When senior ministers of the central government are leading the country, then they are actually exposing ourselves to the rest of the world. So when they are either abusive or they are saying things which is, which looks like we are sort of trying to propagate a particular religion, then I don't think it is right. And the other thing that I would like to point out is that, the rape that has suddenly happened in the national capital, a girl was raped inside a cab. I think this kind of attitude, mentioning a particular holy book in which a particular woman has been shown to be brought by the hair in a courtroom and insulted, this kind of attitude, I think, is going to encourage further molestation of women. So we think we should stick by the Constitution as far as governance is concerned.
Okay.
As far spiritualism is concerned, religion is concerned, I am a very devout religious person. Like I told you, everybody has their personalized religious beliefs, but we are
Sambit, I'm out of time, but here's what I wish to... Okay, Sambit, 20 seconds, we're out of time.
She's saying that if Bhagavad Gita is taught, then violence would be propagated. I condemn this statement of Trinamool Congress, and I take absolute objection to what Kakoli had to say. Kakoli ji, you have to withdraw your words by saying that if Bhagavad Gita propagates violence, please take back your words. If Bhagavad, please take back your words. You have pointed towards Draupadi. You have pointed towards Draupadi, and you say that.
I think Sambit, what she's trying to suggest is, if you thrust the Bhagavad Gita on others, there could be a backlash. I think that's the point that Kakoli Ghosh makes. Yes, I want to end this debate by just saying this.
Absolutely appalling.
I just want to say this in the end, that the tiger is India's national animal and it is on the verge of extinction. By giving someone an exalted status or calling a particular book the national scripture doesn't make an iota of a difference. If people actually practice what the Bhagavad Gita preaches, then we could possibly be a better people and a better country, and this cannot be thrust
my
by the
personal
majority.
belief.
It is
It's
a
my
personal
personal
belief.
belief.
It is each
I cannot
person's
force
right to
it on
choose
anybody.
whether he believes in the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, or the Guru Granth Sahib, and it must remain an individual's personal belief, and nothing should be allowed to change that. Sambit Patra, Kakoli Ghosh Dastidar for joining us on the center stage Face Off tonight. Thank you very much. Let's move on to our headlines today. Impact now. Jamaatul Dawa Chief Hafiz Saeed's Twitter account has been suspended after we drew attention to his anti-India rants on the social networking site. After flagging up a vitriolic tweet from the mastermind of the 26/11 attacks, questioning Twitter about not having a policy against allowing globally designated terrorists from spewing hate on the social platform. There were a series of tweets that I put out last night asking for Hafiz Saeed's Twitter account to be suspended. We continued our activism on social media this morning when we said that if Lashkar had targeted US interests, Uncle Sam would have taken down more than the Twitter account by now. We even reached out to Ravi Shankar Prasad and asked him why he wasn't asking for Twitter to take down Hafiz Saeed's account. Soon after this, we received word from Twitter that Hafiz Saeed's account has indeed been blocked. This is possibly the only action that any Indian has been able to take against Hafiz Saeed so far, and that really is a great travesty because India needs to pursue this man. So far he was allowed to have a Twitter account and say what he wanted, anti-India, hate speeches, rants, all of them allowed. No one had taken it up. We did, and we're glad that we made a difference. What's unfortunate though is that he's opened a new account and he's now tweeting under a different handle. So that's Twitter Activism Part 2, which we will be taking up shortly.